I'm not worthy of this. I'm a crackhead. I'm a traumatized person who traumatizes other people. I'm an atheist. I'm an orphan to suicide. Why? Why am I being bestowed with this level of grace? I don't even believe in God. How is this happening to me? And then I heard them chanting back to me, and they said, but you're worthy of all the love in the universe. You're worthy of all the love in the universe. And then there was this bright white flash, and in that moment, I was instantaneously healed out of day 3 of heroin withdrawal. Hi, my name's Betty Guadagno. I'm dialing in from Brooklyn, New York. I had a near-death-like experience in 2019, totally transformed my life, and so I'm going to take you on that journey with me. I'll start with the origin story. My life before my spiritual experience was trash. It was not a great life. I was immersed in drug addiction and poverty and prostitution, and I grew up in this chaotic environment when I was a child. My parents were both drug addicts. They died from their addiction in 2007. They intentionally overdosed with one another, which was a just tremendous trauma in my life. I found them after their suicide, and it was truly the most insane experience that you could ever imagine happening to you. In some way, I kind of understood what they were thinking because I know the horrors of active drug addiction. It's insane. It's really brutal. And I know they just couldn't go through that pain of withdrawal and not having enough money to pay the rent or take care of themselves or feed themselves. And they just couldn't do it for another month. And so they made this really permanent decision to a temporary problem. And it shaped the rest of my life. It completely warped my view on everything. And I became a militant atheist because the only thing that I knew about God, really, from growing up in a house full of addicts, where like the whole theme around life is it's all transactional love. Like, if you do this, I'll love you. If you clean your room, if you get good grades, if you whatever. So I didn't know anything about unconditional love. I definitely didn't know anything about God. And so the only thing I knew about God and suicide was that in the Bible, it says that you go to this place called the pit if you kill yourself. And so that sounded really bad. And so I thought that if I believed in God, then I would have to believe in this thing called the pit, and that I would have to believe that my parents suffered their whole human lives, and then they were also condemned to suffer for all of eternity, because this is what the Bible says about suicide. So I just stayed hidden from God, not only because of my parents' suicide, but also because my life sucked. And if I believed in God, maybe I have to stop living my life the way that I was, which was like medicating and sedating myself and causing tons of harm to other people. So before my experience, I was a ruthless abuser. After my parents' suicide, I was a traumatized person who wanted to traumatize other people. I wanted everyone to hurt as deeply and badly as I hurt. So that's what I did. I caused so much harm to other people. I really, truly did. I got all of my partners strung out on drugs. Any man that I could get to be with me, I would get them strung out on drugs because I thought that they would need me. And one of my boyfriends ended up dying. He overdosed. And after his death, I was so racked in guilt and shame that I made a deal with myself that I was going to do this insane amount of drugs. And if I didn't die, I would go get help. But I woke up and I did try to get help, but it didn't stick. And those last couple years of my active addiction, my life evaporated. I mean, I was a shell of a human being. And that's when I experienced my near-death-like experience. I overdosed in March of 2019 on March 23rd, which is actually the beginning of the season of Aries, which is the symbol of rebirth. So there's definitely some kind of profound symbolism in that for me because it was a rebirth. And the first part of my experience was a life review. And like I shared, I caused a lot of harm in my life as a as a drug addicted prostitute, I wouldn't just prostitute myself. I would manipulate other women. I would get them strung out on drugs and I would prostitute them. And so all of their faces and their feelings and the ways that I made them feel came into my awareness in my life review. And it was like I was being tortured because I was actually experiencing the way that I made other people feel, and I did not make people feel good. And there wasn't really anything kind inside my life review. It was just a lot of harm that I had caused. And so I felt like I was drowning in an ocean of anguish, like maybe I was in hell. I thought I was dead because I was seeing dead people around me. I saw my parents. I knew that they were dead. It felt like there was this reel of my life going around, and I think I had heard something about a life review at some point in my life. So I thought, okay, I died. I did too many drugs and I died. And then I started to hear my father's voice. So then I really thought that I was dead because I was hearing my dead dad. And he was chanting, "You are worthy of all the love in the universe. You are worthy of all the love in the universe." And I didn't believe him, but I trusted his voice. And so I followed it. And that's when I landed in the light of my experience, which was very welcome and very different. Before I landed in the light, it felt like every cell in my body was being shredded apart. And then I landed in the light and it felt like reunion and bliss and love and joy and home. Not home like where all your stuff is. A spiritual home that I don't have any adequate human words to explain to you what I mean when I say that. But it was just this intense sense of connection and safety and security. And my experience came across looking a lot like a video game. And I don't know if that's because of the generation that I'm born in or because we're living in a simulation or some combination of both of those things. But the first part of my light experience, I found myself on the deck of a spaceship. That's what it felt like anyway. It actually looked like the Gravitron ride from Carnivals, that big metal spinning disc that goes really fast and you slap yourself on the wall like a bad sticker and you can flip upside down. It felt like I came out of the side of one of those walls. And in the center of this huge ship was this beautiful column of white light. And you can call that light Christ consciousness or Krishna consciousness or Buddha. I think it's all the same thing, but it was definitely a higher consciousness, higher source of energy. And there was thousands of other souls all around me. And this beam of light was telling us that we were the most special volunteers. We were the bravest souls in all of the galaxy because we had volunteered to come to Earth for the Great Awakening. And I have no idea what the Great Awakening is, but I know that I'm a part of it. I don't have any idea what's going on around me, but I just have a deep, innate knowing that this is truth that I am receiving. I don't question it. I don't contemplate about it. I just know. This light is telling me I'm the bravest, most special volunteer. I'm here for the Great Awakening. I believe it. I'm on board. My awareness quickly shifts over to another scene after this download, and I find myself in front of a table of beings. And it was like this really crappy plastic banquet hall folding table. It was nothing beautiful, nothing ornate, but there was this beautiful ornate book on top of this really crappy plastic table. And this book was the book of my life. And there were these 4 beings of light, and they were thumbing through the book, and they said, "It's really good to see you. This says that you're not meant to stay. You're just here for information. And so we're here to give you that information." And I'm like looking all around me. I'm like, you guys aren't talking to me, are you? Because I don't know where I am, but I am definitely staying. This place is like the Ritz. I'm loving it. And they just said, "No, you're not meant to stay. You're only here for information." And then my awareness shifted over to another scene. And I found myself with a man. He was wearing a plaid blazer and a fedora, and he had this big empty grocery cart in front of him. And he said, "Let's pick your life." And he took me down the aisles of a spiritual supermarket, and lining the walls of the grocery store aisles were these gigantic cereal boxes. And every cereal box had a life experience on it. And I know that I'm coming to Earth for the Great Awakening as this little orb of light, this little soul. And so I'm like, well, let's do it. Great awakening. Here we come. And I start grabbing every cereal box that I can get my metaphorical hands on. There's no physical hands there, but like figurative hands. And I just start grabbing everything. And I mean, I grabbed really dense stuff. My family line had already been picked because there were certain things that I needed to experience. And so the family line had already been chosen. My parents were chosen. And so there were certain life experiences that were going to be demanded to be experienced because of the family that I was being born into, like childhood sexual trauma. That was one of the life experiences. It's an ancestral experience in this family line. And I was coming here to be the one to break all the generational curses. Yes, it's a very intense job. I don't know what I was thinking when I signed up for it, but I do know that I signed up for it. In this scene, it became so clear to me that every situation in my life that I had ever felt victimized by, and I had a long laundry list of things that I had felt victimized by in my life, every single one of them I had chosen for the evolvement of my soul. Now, my human mind cannot comprehend what the heck that means. How could picking a life experience like getting molested as a kid evolve me as a soul? I don't have some great one-liner answer for it. I just know that it's truth. I know that I picked these things. I have autonomy in my experience. I'm not a victim to the world around me. I am a divine co-creator of my reality. So I'm downloaded with this understanding. Victim mentality, the shackles of shame and guilt have been cracked off of me. I go back in front of the table of beings, and I'm so thankful. I'm down on my knees. This is the information I've been looking for my whole life. Thank you so much for this. I've been waiting for this. Everything makes so much sense now. I'm still not going to go back to Earth because that place is a total dumpster fire, but I am like so thrilled to know that I am in charge of my destiny. I'm going to stay here. I'll watch this great awakening show right here from the comfort of my own home. I'm going to go grab my PJs and a bowl of popcorn. I'll just like stream it. What's your streaming service? Is it like Earth TV or something? Can I borrow somebody's password? And I'm just like ready to stay put in this space. I'm really very resistant to the idea of leaving. And again, they tell me that I am leaving. I am not allowed to stay there. And I transformed into a small child. And I said, but you guys don't tell us what Earth is actually like. It is so hard. It's so much harder than you told me it was going to be, and I can't do it. And they told me that I say that every time I go back there, and that I've been coming back and forth from Earth and reincarnating and going over and over again to play this game that we call life here thousands of times. I've been doing this ever since Earth has existed. And that every time I forget. And they told me that the first part of my life was boot camp. And nobody likes boot camp, right? What's happening in boot camp? You're like doing 1,000 push-ups in the mud. There's a bald guy screaming in your face. It's raining sideways. It's cold. You're homesick. It's the worst. But they told me that the second part of my life was going to be carrying out my divine mission. That I was going to have soulmates and mentors and teachers and communities. And that it was going to be so much different. And all I had to do was trust them. And I was like, but I do not trust you guys. You have given me 0 reasons to trust you. I will not trust you. Anyway, I just thought that this whole thing was drug-induced psychosis. After this experience, I started to have my awareness sift back into my body. They told me that it was either get reborn as a baby or go back into the body that I came from. And so I decided that I was going to go back into the body that I came from because I could not imagine doing it from 0. There was no way that I was going to be able to do that. And so when I woke up on my bathroom floor, I sat up, I shook my head, and I was like, whoa, that was crazy. I was so high that I thought I was talking to God. I was so high that I thought I designed my life. What a joke. That's crazy. And I just went about my life doing the same thing that I had always done. I went right back to prostituting myself, right back to using drugs, right back to the same ritual and routine that I had been doing, which is like lying, stealing, cheating, conniving, getting money, buying drugs, using drugs, and then again, rinse and repeat. And that was my whole life. And so I went right back to it until the universe stepped in this very loud way and said that that was not going to be my path anymore, that my path had been chosen in a different direction now. And all of these crazy, strange synchronicities started to happen in my life. Like all my drug dealers decided on the very same day to change their lives and stop selling drugs. I'm talking about like 10 different guys who did not know each other. Like I had this list of guys that I would call when I needed drugs. And I call up my main dealer, a man that I had been dealing with every day for 10 years, a whole decade of my life. I talked to this guy every single day. And I call him and he's like, listen, lose my number. I'm out of the game. I found Jesus and I want to be a good dad. Click, hangs up on me, blocks me. 10-year relationship with this man. And I'm blocked. Just like that. So I'm like, okay, that's so weird. Let me call up the next guy. Next guy, mirrored story. Same exact words, but these guys don't know each other. It was divine intervention. So then I had no way to get what I needed. And I had a physical dependency to heroin. So like I really needed to get what I needed to get. And I found myself going through withdrawal because even if I tried to buy drugs on the street, they wouldn't work, or they'd be like a hole in my pocket and they'd fall out on my way home, or it would start raining and they would get wet. Like everything that could happen to make me not able to keep going down that path was happening. And I was going through withdrawal and I was just welcoming death. I mean, withdrawal is an agony that no one should ever have to experience. It is pain on top of pain on top of pain. It is emotional, physical, spiritual pain. It is so much. And I had this experience where I was instantaneously healed out of heroin withdrawal. I had this moment where I heard this voice and it told me that I could request what I wanted fixed. And I was in the throes of desperation. So I was like, okay, strange voice, I want to no longer be addicted to heroin. Help. And they told me to count backwards from 10. And as I did, these two little men appeared in my mind's eye. And they had these white lab coats and they had these little lawnmowers. And I watched these men take off in separate directions. And they walked through every crevice of my mind. And as they did, all of these intense hot tingles started to take over the crown of my head. And then there was this bright white flash. And in that moment, I was instantaneously healed out of day 3 of heroin withdrawal. That was divine intervention at its fullest. And I just kept screaming out loud as this healing had taken place. I said, I'm not worthy of this. I'm not worthy of this. I'm a crackhead. I'm a prostitute. I'm a traumatized person who traumatizes other people. I'm an atheist. I'm an orphan to suicide. Why? Why am I being bestowed with this level of grace? I don't even believe in God. How is this happening to me? And I just kept saying, I'm not worthy of this. I'm not worthy of this. And then I heard them chanting back to me and they said, but you're worthy of all the love in the universe. You're worthy of all the love in the universe. And after that happened, I literally thought that I was Jesus, reincarnated, because I just had no grounding in what all of this meant. So I thought, well, I've been healed, so I can heal other people. And I was going out on the streets of New York City where I live, and I was laying my hands on homeless drug addicts, telling them that I had the power to heal them. I was preaching and proselytizing, and I didn't know anything about God. So all I was screaming at people was, don't use drugs, don't eat McDonald's, it's all poison. And I mean, I was just a total cuckoo banana bird. I was really out of my mind. I had no foundation, no integration, no idea what was going on with me. And I found myself sitting on a train one day trying to preach to the masses. But there was nobody in the train car, which was crazy because it was the middle of the day in New York City, and there's 9 million people that live here. So it was very strange that there was nobody in the train. And then all of a sudden, the train doors opened and a man stepped inside, and he sat directly across from me, even though the whole train car was empty. And around his neck was this big blinged out emblem for a 12-step fellowship. And I heard this voice in my head and it said, that's your path. Follow him to a meeting. And so I asked this strange man on the train if he happened to be going to a meeting. And guess what? he was on his way to one, and he took me with him. And so in the meeting, they told me that I had to make meetings every day, that I use drugs every day. And so now I got to make meetings every day. And so I just listened to what they said. I took every word that I was hearing as a word directly from source to my ears. So the next day I went to another meeting. It was a women's meeting. And I looked destroyed when all of this was happening. I did not look the way that I look now. At this point in time, I was missing most of my teeth. These are paid for. Thank you, Spiritual Awakening. I had these huge holes all over my face and my arms because every time that I got high, I thought that bugs lived inside of me. And so I would rip my skin open with razor blades and I would burn myself with lighters and torches trying to get the bugs out of my skin. And so when I walked into this women's meeting, it was painfully obvious that I was new. And as I walked through, this woman came up to me and she grabbed me and she hugged me so tight. And I hadn't been touched in a loving way in a really long time. So it kind of grossed me out. It made me recoil a little. And then she leaned in and she whispered in my ear and she said, "You are worthy of all the love in the universe. You are worthy of all the love in the universe." It was like the same message that I had been hearing all throughout this journey, but now it was coming out of an actual human being's mouth. It wasn't some voice inside my head. It wasn't some drug-induced psychosis, some hallucination. This was a real person. And I didn't think that I was worthy of all the love in the universe, but I thought for 1 second, maybe I'm worth more than drug addiction and poverty and prostitution and degradation and dereliction. Maybe I am. And so that was really my deepest moment of surrender. I surrendered to the flow of awakening. I surrendered to the flow of recovery, and I learned how to be a new person. I went into an inpatient facility. I stayed there for a year and a half. I had no idea how to do anything without being high first. I didn't even know how to wake up and brush my one good tooth without being high first. I had to learn how to be a person all over again. And I had to learn how to be a person in spiritual awareness. And my integration process was messy. Like this story sounds really cool and beautiful, but it was psychotic when it was happening. It was not, it didn't feel like it flowed at all. It felt very clunky. And during my integration, I found A Course in Miracles, which is a metaphysical text. It's a channeled message from Jesus. And it's a mind training program. It's a reprogramming book. It's not like a novel that you sit down and read for fun. This is a book that has completely transformed my being. And thanks to A Course in Miracles and all of the other spiritual texts that I read and devoured in this process, I've been able to construct a really beautiful foundation in spirituality for myself. I don't think that there's any one right thing. I think that there's truth in everything. And so I get to cherry pick all of these things that I like and design my own sense of spirituality around it. A big part of my integration has also been community. I love community, okay? I realized that I came here in a tribe of souls, and I really wanted to find my soul family throughout this process. But then I thought about the fact that when Earth first was a thing, we lived in these tribes of people. And now all of a sudden in reality, we're all very separated from each other and we don't really depend on each other very much. But I've learned in my process that I need other people. If I'm by myself, I'm in bad company. I'm the person who got me into the mess to begin with. So I need other people. I can't see dirt behind my own ear. I need other people to help me to grow and evolve and to trigger me and to lift me up and to empower me and to congratulate me and to affirm me and all the things. And so I'm a really big proponent for community, and I've created one of my own because I couldn't find exactly what I was looking for. So I just said, let me just build it instead of continuing to search for it. And I love it. We have meetups in person, we meet online, we do retreats, and my life is so profoundly different. And it's not because I had this really spiritually transformative experience. It's because every day I make a conscious decision to live righteously. I spent my whole life living as, just this little earth-dwelling caterpillar rolling around in the mud. I had no idea that one day I was going to bloom into this beautiful butterfly. And you are worthy of all the love in the universe. You really, really, truly are. I don't think that anybody understands what that actually means. I don't even really understand what it means, but I keep hearing it over and over and over again. But you truly are so worthy. I wish everyone knew how big and bold and brave we're supposed to be. And I'll just leave you with this. You used to be a sperm inside of a testicle. And now you are a living, breathing, walking human being, experiencing emotions, other people, and the world around you. Okay, dream bigger. The universe is not on a budget. You are a fucking miracle. It's a miracle that we exist, a real, true miracle. You're not supposed to play it small. You're not meant to live in fear. We're meant to live in faith and in love. And so whatever you need to do to empower yourself to get there, please do it. You are so worthy.